My name is Watson.
And my name is Mariah.
We're 12 years old.
And we're representing Old Redford Academy Middle School. And we're here to talk about drugs. Drugs are very dangerous and unhealthy.
And they can also ruin a relationship with your loved ones. Go talk to a family member, a friend, even a teacher, or you can go to a therapist, or if you need any extra help, you can go online and find all of those.
Hashtag not worth it.
I'm fabulous. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy. I'm fabulous.
Young cat got back, did a little bit. Now we hardy, puffy, tough, do-rag and Tim's. Kinda hard to get a job back out on the block. Charge that to the game. Young girl, she grew up in a rush. Had it bad, no doubt. She don't know who to trust. Every man she ever loved only wanna crush. Charge that to the game. But it's all gravy. Hey, baby. Shots get popped, the cops shut down the party. Jeans sag low, blow smoke out of Dutchess. We got love for y'all, but y'all don't love us.
And good afternoon, and welcome to Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. And I am your host, Darwin Griffin. And before we start with my special guest, I just wanted to make a couple of announcements real quick. The first announcement that I'd like to make is to let everybody know that the Michigan Democratic Party Black Caucus is having a two-day summit on the 28th and 29th of this month. And the two-day summit primarily is going to cover a variety of different things. There's going to be it's a fundraiser at the TULC on Friday, and that's located at 8670 Grand River. And it's going to be from 6 o'clock until 11 o'clock that evening. So please come out and show your support. And then also, we're also having a summit that's going to be conducted on Saturday, the 29th of September, and that's going to be held at the historical Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, which is located at 18700 James Cousins. And it's going to be from 8 o'clock until about 5:30 in the evening. We've got a variety of different workshops that's going to go on that day. And just to kind of give you a little bit of the synopsis of some of the workshops, we're going to be talking primarily about why and how we can get more blacks to get engaged in the voting process. We're going to talk about the Democratic Party and how we can go about getting the needs of the African Americans served by the Democratic Party. We're also going to talk about police officials and the black community. We're going to talk about the black media and the black community. We're going to also talk about ghetto economics. And we're going to also talk about the black church and the Democratic Party. And then we're going to sum it up with pretty much like a town hall meeting. We're going to talk about the hip hop community and the voting process. But please come out for the two-day event. The tickets are only $20 for the two-day event. So if you come on the first day, which is the event at the TULC, you can also gain access to the summit the next day for free. So there's going to be a breakfast and a luncheon on that Saturday. And last but not least, just want to put the icing on the cake. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Tellis Chapman. Tellis Chapman alone is worth his weight when it comes to that admission price. So he's a great speaker, he's an awesome speaker, and he's a very good orator. So definitely, if whatever you're doing that day, you definitely don't want to miss Tellis. And you also want to come out and give us an idea about what we need to do to make certain that our voices are heard in the community, in the state of Michigan, as well as in the nation. So please show your support, come on out on the 28th and the 29th. We look forward to seeing you. I will also be hosting one of the forums, and we're going to talk about how to make sure that we get people out to vote. And I can mention some of the names, but I don't want to mention one name and forget some of the other dynamic speakers that are going to be on the different panels. But please, come out. I think you'll be greatly, greatly surprised at how well this is going to turn out. But I want to go and I want to let everybody know today is National Voter Registration Day. And by it being National Voter Registration Day, we're making certain that we are trying to encourage people to get out and make certain that their voices are heard on November the 6th. But in order to get your voices heard, you must be registered to vote. And that deadline to be able to have your registration form turned into the clerk's office is October the 9th. So it's important that you make certain that your voter registration is updated, and we're encouraging people to get out and vote that day. And also, if you go out to vote on that date, make sure you take someone with you. It's imperative that we make sure that we make Michigan blue again. We have an opportunity to take a lot of the different electoral spots throughout the state, the governor, to ensure that we're going to keep our senators, to make certain that we go and we have the House and the Senate represented by Democrats. So it's important. Make sure you get your voices heard. Don't sit back and take advantage and say, well, okay, I'll let somebody else go out there and do it. No, you voted in the primary. Make sure you get out in the general election and have your voices heard as well. But I'm excited today to have an opportunity to go, and the young lady that's going to be my guest today, she is the president of the Detroit Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. And her name is Lois Elizabeth Bingham. And I'm so happy to have you on the show today to talk about what the Deltas are doing in regard to National Voter Registration Day.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here to talk about our efforts and to support the National Voter Registration Day.
Now, can you tell our viewing audience, if you have a question for myself or for Ms. Bingham, our call-in numbers are area code 313-868-0342, 313-868-0351, 313-868-4336. And our website is www.tv33whpr.com. And some of you may be watching TV33, or you may be watching Comcast, Channel 91 or Channel 90. But can you tell a little bit, Ms. Bingham, about what is the significance of National Voter Registration Day?
National Voter Registration Day is a day where organizations and people all across this country are going to be out in the streets promoting voter registration, getting people to register so that we make certain that on November 6th we hit the polls and we voice our opinions on the issues and on the candidates that are seeking to serve. It's really critical that we show up, and in order to show up and have our voice count, we must first be registered. And so Detroit Deltas and Delta Sigma Theta on a national level, we are so very honored to be a part of this initiative and to support this initiative. And today, the Detroit Deltas will have a voter drive-in registration drive at our headquarters from 3 to 6 at DST DFI headquarters, which is located on the corner of 7 Mile and Grand River, 24760 West 7 Mile. You can drive in, pull in, register, and keep moving. We will have many volunteers out there to register voters, so we're really excited about that. And then, if you're really interested in hearing about the issues and getting a chance to hear from some of the candidates or have, ask some questions, we are partnering with the Detroit chapter of the NAACP to host a voter education forum, and that will start at 6 p.m. So we are dedicating this day, or a big portion of the day, to making certain that we get out the vote. I'm wearing my shirt that says vote. And we want to make certain that the people are aware. And so we're so happy that you invited us to give us this opportunity to inform the public about this event. So we encourage everyone to come out. If you're not registered or if you're not certain if you're registered, come on out to corner 7 Mile and Grand River, DST, DFI headquarters, and register to vote. We will be there with our volunteers making certain that you are prepared to go to the polls on November 6th.
Now, I know some people may be coming and it might not get an opportunity to go and have dinner. So will there be refreshments served?
There will be music. I think there will be snacks available.
Okay.
But the concept is that, during that 3 to 6 hour that you come in, it's not necessarily that you would stay for the whole time, is that you would come in and you register to vote and you go in. It's called a drive-in voter
Okay.
registration. However, our program, which will be from 6 to 8, once again, will be with the Detroit chapter of NAACP. There we will have a whole host of people present. So I don't want to promise dinner. So come prepared, make certain that you eat before you come, just in case there aren't any snacks available for you, but there'll be water and refreshments, light refreshments. And we want to make certain that you feel welcome. We're pleased to do this not only with the Detroit chapter of the NAACP, but we have a whole host of other partners that we're working with, including other members of the Divine Nine. We have the Ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated are working with us, as well as the Detroit alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. So we're real excited to have members of our Divine Nine family with us at the house. In addition, we have the Michigan Legislative Black Caucus, the Detroit chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, as well as the New Leaders Council Detroit and Sigma Alpha Pi. So you have a very diverse group of people who've come together because we're all, irrespective of our groups and our purpose,
Right.
we're all aligned on one thing, and that's the need to make certain that that we vote. And
Now, you mentioned also that there's going to be the issues education. Can you tell some of the issues that are also going to be on the ballot that people will also get educated on as well? Or there may be people that are representing some of the different issues.
Yes, of course. So I don't know if many of you may have seen some of the volunteers that have been out in the streets for several months working to promote the vote campaign. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority has also been a partner with that initiative, and so we've been very pleased to support that. That issue is about access and accountability and making certain that people have access to polls in their neighborhoods to vote, that there are fair rules apply to absentee voting, that's extended so that it's easier for people to vote. And so we've been canvassing with the Promote the Vote effort, so you'll hear from that issue. There'll also be some dialogue around the issues around gerrymandering and the ways in which politicians carve up the states and the districts in order to suit their partisan view, and our view that that's not the right way to go about protecting people. Straight party voting, there's been the recent legislation that has upheld the prohibition against straight party voting, and so there will be some talk about that. I mean, that issue is obviously out of our hands right now. It's in the legislative, but nevertheless, it's still something that I think that people have been interested in and may want to know more about. There are two legislative initiatives that were being promoted. One was earned paid sick time, as well as one fair wage. Neither one of these will now be on the ballot, as our Michigan legislators have acted to promote these two particular pieces of legislation, but it's still very important that voters understand what the issues are about, so that once the new legislators have been seated, that we hold them accountable to the original intent of that legislation. So there's going to be a number of people that are going to be present who are much more knowledgeable about the issues than I am.
But you're doing a great job. Excellent job.
That will be able to tell you, why these things are important and why we need to make certain that we are standing in lines and that we're voting on November 6th. For me, I have two young boys that are in college. And when I look at them and I know what kind of future I want for them, when I look at, young children, I want what's best for them. So it's not just about me. It's about what I think is best for this country and for people that I know and love. And so it's very important that I think that people get out there. And so whatever reservations, hesitations, rebellion statements, or whatever about, why their vote doesn't matter and their voice doesn't count. It has to count.
And it doesn't matter to a lot of people because there are people out here right now that feel like some of the candidates that are running are not the candidate that they really would like to see running. But it's important that you still get out to vote. A lot of people are saying, well, hey, I'm going to vote, but they're not that enthused about the candidates. But still in all, you still must get out to vote. And the other thing is that when you do get out to vote, take someone with you. But as my guest is saying too, they're going to also educate today about some of the voter suppression tactics that are also being used as well. And can you, Ms. Bingham, tell a little bit about some of the voter education, just to educate the voters about what some of the suppression tactics could be?
Well, I have personally served as a voter protection advocate here in the state, and and in that role, sometimes you get people that question your residency. There might be some challenges to citizenship for those who are Latin Americans. That we do have a significant population here, and question your right to vote. Whether you have a felon status, whether you can vote. Whether or not, if you don't have your ID with you, you can sign an affidavit and still vote. So there are things that people might come at you with, about why you aren't eligible to vote, and you need to know what you can and can't do. And so, we will, we hope to advocate a lot more information about, who's eligible to vote, and so that you come prepared, that you have all of your documentation, but in the event that you don't, what rights you have in the absence of those. I'm not maybe saying having your driver's license with you or something to that effect. So we want to make certain that voters are informed about all of the various tactics, and that they know that there are people that will be in the polls to help you in the event someone questions your right to vote. And there will be people there in the event that you show up at the wrong polling place. There are websites and other places where you can easily find out where you should be. And to direct you there. So it's very, very important that people understand that you have the right to vote, and it's very more important that you actually exercise your right to vote. When we remain silent, when we don't show up, it emboldens the others who may advocate for issues that are not in our best interest. And so no one's going to be a perfect patty. There isn't going to be one candidate that you're going to be aligned with on every issue. But perfection is not what we're seeking. We're looking for someone who's going to advocate in our best interest. And there might be things that you don't agree with that person on, but you need to go out and make a stand and vote for the candidate or the issue that best supports your view.
And the thing is, too, that you have that opportunity to hold those elected officials accountable. So the thing is that you want to make certain that you exercise your power to get out there to vote, and then you hold that person accountable. But one thing that I know that I can express, and I've been saying this on previous shows, do some homework, do your research, learn more about some of the issues that Ms. Bingham just spoke about. And then at the same time, too, also learn more about the candidates that are running, because there's a lot of advertisements, there's a lot of rumor, there's a lot of innuendo about candidates that if you do a little bit of homework, you may find out something different. So I ask you, make certain, Google that person, find out more about that individual, because as everybody says, there's always two sides to every story. So you want to see how one side may be spinning something that could be contrary to the way it actually is. So do some research, do some homework to find out those things. Now, Ms. Bingham, in the closing minutes that we have with the show, if somebody wants to, let's say, go out and register people to vote, are there different things that you, the Deltas, or some of the other organizations that you're partnering with that are doing besides today with registering people to vote?
Well, Our registration efforts, speaking on behalf of the Detroit Deltas, are year-round. So we register in the high schools for those students who are turning 18 during the course of the year to make certain that they are prepared to go out and exercise their vote for the first time. We work with our collegiate chapter, TAW chapter at Wayne State University in their voter registration efforts on campus, in churches, on the streets, in any event that we hold, we try to make certain that we incorporate our social action initiatives. So recently we had a shred day with AARP. We had voter registration table there. We have done expungement fairs. We have voter registration tables there. So at every event that we hold that's community-based, our social action team is ready and willing and able to register voters. So we take this very seriously. And then once we get past the date of registration, then we need to talk about voter mobilization, because then we need to get those who are registered to the polls.
Thank you.
And so, so this is the first step, but then we got to go, we got to make the home run. So we got to get all those bodies that we've registered. Now we've got to work with other organizations to make certain that people feel engaged enough and are committed to actually get up on November the 6th and actually go and vote. And so whatever we can do, any partners, organizations that we can partner with to help do that, we're willing to do that, because it's very important that we show up. I mean, there are a lot of issues that of concern to us as women, mothers, spouses, et cetera, that, we need to speak, we need to make certain that our people are out voting.
So just as Ms. Bingham is saying, it's important to make certain that you're registered to vote, but it's also important to make sure that you vote. Just as the shirt that she's wearing, it says vote.
Yep.
Just don't be a registered voter, but actually go out to the polls and vote. And that's one thing that I'm happy to hear you saying, that you're not only going to register people to vote, but you're going to also make certain that people have a means to get to the polls to vote. That's one of the things that a group that I belong with called A. Philip Randolph Institute, the Detroit Downriver chapter, that's one of the things that we do too, is that we transport people to the polls. And not just do we take the people, the individuals to the polls, we wait until they get finished voting, and then we even bring them back home, or whatever their point was where we picked them up at. So the key thing is that you're going to be doing this with other organizations, so I would definitely like for the Deltas to partner with us,
Okay.
As well. But now, so are you also going to be partnering, you said, with some of the churches?
Well, recently over the summer, we had a vote fan campaign. So we actually
vote fan.
So
Okay.
in churches, you have your church fan.
Right.
So we had a
right.
Get Out the Vote fan that we distributed to the Baptist Pastors Council. I may be saying the name incorrectly, but many of the churches, they have a coalition of a lot of the pastors, and so we partner with them and we distributed our fans to their churches. And so on that fan, it talked about the key important dates for registration and for voting, and it did list all of the criteria to vote, all the things that to inform you about the ways in which you can vote. Did you
Okay.
need your ID? And if you didn't have your ID, you can ask to sign an affidavit of residency and so forth. So we passed those fans out, and we did that all during the summer.
That's great.
And so we have been very active in our social action initiatives this year. I mean, the time is now. If there's ever any other time, that we need to make certain that we are out there in the streets. And although we are known as the Detroit Deltas, we actually service 5 other cities. So our service area includes Highland Park. So this is part of our service area, so we're really excited about that. Hamtramck, Harper Woods, Grosse Pointe, and Detroit.
Now, in the closing minutes that we have, Ms. Bingham, can you tell our audience again, today is National Voter Registration Day, and you are conducting this where?
So from 3 to 6 today, we will host a drive-in voter registration from 3 to 6 at DST DFI headquarters, which is located at 24760 West 7 Mile. That's the corner of 7 Mile and Grand River. It's the old Stark Hickey Ford dealership.
I remember that.
So if you know the neighborhood, we'll be out there on the corner helping you to register. And then later this evening, from 6 to 8, doors will open at 5:30, we will host a voter education forum where we will have candidates who are running for office all the way from school board, judges, to our gubernatorial candidates have been invited to attend.
Okay.
And then we will also have subject matter experts to talk about the various issues that I talked about earlier. We are so excited. We're not doing this alone. So we are working in close partnership with NAACP, the Detroit chapter, as well as I indicated, members of our Divine Nine family, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, Kappa Alpha Psi, and then we have some other diverse groups that are Michigan Legislative Black Council, the Detroit chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the New Leaders Council Detroit, and the other organization is Sigma Alpha Pi. So we are so pleased to be working a unified front on this issue. It's not about our organizations, it's about the reason why we're getting together.
And it's so great that a lot of organizations work independently, but it's great to see that we can be codependent on each other to get this initiative going because of, as you've been stating, how important this is, because we're all in this together.
And, I don't know if you're familiar with former First Lady, Michelle Obama
I do recall
kicked
that.
up, right.
I do recall her name.
Yes, well, she has partnered, or she started a new initiative called When We All Vote. And so between When We All Vote, the National Voter Registration Day, Promote the Vote, Delta Sigma Theta is involved in each one of those three initiatives. And so since 1913, when we participated in the Women's Suffrage March, marching down D.C., even when as black women we didn't have the right to vote, we are very firm in our belief that we must vote as a people for the benefit of our country, that we must get out there and vote. This isn't, I could speak to our historical legacy of all, everything people did to get us the right to vote, but if the past is too far away from you to think about, of our new millennials that don't know that history,
Right.
Then think about today and the now and what you're reading about in the paper, and then think about the future. Think about your kids' future, your grandchildren's future. I mean, it's bigger than you, and it's bigger than today. And so it's very important that we get out and that we educate ourselves on the issues. We vote the issues, that we believe to be in the best interest of the country, and that we vote for candidates that we believe best represent our issues.
And just one thing before we close, I just want to say that I express my sincerest sympathies and condolences over the loss of one of your sorors, Miss Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
And I was so pleased to see the outpouring of support that Delta Sigma Theta gave her, and the way that they had represented the sorority in the way that they closed.
Yes.
So that was great.
Yeah.
I really appreciated
Yes,
that.
it was our honor. The Detroit Alumni Chapter had the honor of, for the benefit of our national headquarters, of coordinating the Omega service, that's what we call it, for our deceased sorors at the Charles H. Wright Museum. And so we were so very, very honored to be able to do that for our soror, Aretha Franklin. Most people are probably unaware of her record in civil rights. And so we were there to celebrate her in tribute for not only the musical legacy that she left to the world, but her support and involvement of social action. And so we thank the Charles H. Wright Museum for giving us the opportunity to do that in the viewing and the family. And I would encourage y'all to go out and see the new Think exhibit that's
Right.
at the Wright Museum.
No question.
And so she was just a truly an icon.
Okay. Well, I definitely appreciate you having the time to come in and meet with me today to disseminate the information pertaining to the impact that Delta Sigma Theta and your other partners are doing today for National Voter Registration Day. And again, thank you, Ms. Bingham, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
I hope
me.
to have you on the show in the future.
And I want to see you all at 3 o'clock, between 3 and 6, driving up, getting registered to vote.
No question. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, or you'd like to advertise in the Detroit Native Sun newspaper that can now be picked up at Kroger supermarkets, you can contact Valerie Lockhart at area code 313-457-5944. And we look forward to seeing you again Same time, same station, next week. Be blessed. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Thank you again.
I'm fabulous. Hi, Mommy. Hi, Daddy. I'm fabulous.
Young cat got back